Well, it's good to be here this morning, and just want to start by saying how excited we are to be down here in Orlando for this game. We were here 2 years ago, and just have to say what a tremendous job this bowl committee does, and really, kind of going out of their ways to make us feel welcome and take care of us from the top to the bottom. So we're excited to come back down here. Excited about playing Tennessee. Obviously, really good opponent. Known Coach Banks going back to his time at Illinois. So I have some experience with their defensive system and what they do, but excited for that challenge. And I think the players have been working hard. Have had a good month of preparation. And just like I said, we're excited to be here and get going.
All right, if there are questions there, you can raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll start with Scott here on the left, and then we'll go to the right.
Hi, Brian, how you doing?
Good.
Good. I guess I want to ask you, what have the last 2 months been like for you, coaching? How have you been able to kind of compartmentalize your future versus the task at hand, and how challenging was it in the beginning, and how challenging is it potentially today?
Well, I think the answer is very simple, right? I made a commitment to this football team, to this football program. And like I said in my statement, I intended to honor that commitment, feel like I've done that, and fully anticipate doing that for the next 3-4 days, whatever it is. And then, cross the other bridge when I get there. But, this place is important to me. The University of Iowa is important to me. The football program is important to me. And so it was important that I finished the right way and did my job.
We'll go to the right.
Hi, Brian. Hope you're doing well. Going back to October, was it something that you were anticipating? Was there dialogue leading? What was kind of dialogue leading up to the decision that Beth made?
I'm not sure I understand that question, John.
In terms of, were there conversations ahead of time? How did you find out? What was kind of the process of that?
Yeah, I would direct those questions to Beth. Like I said, my focus has been on our football team and our players and doing my job and getting them ready to play football games and trying to help them be in position to be successful and win games. So that's where I kept my focus during the season. That's where I've kept my focus since October. And that's where I intend to keep my focus for the coming days.
You got any questions for Logan there? Go to the right.
Hey Brian, Kirk talked yesterday about how he just appreciated everything you put into the program. What does it mean for you to finish it out with him here in Orlando? I know it seemed to be emotional too at the Illinois game, walking out of Kenny with a win. Just wondering how special that was to you, and what it would mean to win this game.
I think the emotion of the Illinois game was quite simply that, these guys, these players, they set a goal at the beginning of the season, and that was to win the Big Ten. Fortunately, we came up short in that regard. But the best we could do at the time was win the Big Ten West and give ourselves a chance to do that. In order to do that, we needed to beat Illinois when we won that game. I think the emotion that you saw with everyone on the sideline was you saw a bunch of players that have worked really hard and accomplished their goals. And, quite frankly, probably what I resent the most about this situation is that the focus has come off of our football players who have really accomplished some tremendous things this year. And it's gone on to things that just quite simply don't matter. They're trivial and silly, in my opinion. And, for whatever reason, the focus has gone there instead of on a bunch of players who've worked really hard, overcome a lot of adversity and dealt with a lot of nonsense to win 10 football games and put themselves into position to win the 11th, which I think would be the 4th time in the history of the school that's happened. So, quite frankly, I think that's where the focus should be. That's where I'd like it to be. I can't control what you guys do or what other people say, but I think we're really missing something that's pretty special that's going on.
We'll go to the right here, and we'll come from to the left.
Logan, I'll ask you a question. Is there a sense on the team?
Thanks, Tom.
Is there a sense among the guys especially on the offensive side, to win one for Brian Ferentz?
I wouldn't say our goal is to win it for Brian. I think it's just to win it for our team. That's what we came here to do. We have a great opportunity to do that against a good Tennessee team. Obviously it's going to be emotional. You get to play for a guy like Coach Brian. It means a lot. You got a coach who will stop by and say hi to your mom. Have a conversation with her. She'll come to me after the game and say how much that means to her. So, you know, you have a guy like Coach Brian who gets to come in and do that, and just the type of man he is, that means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to my mom too. I bet he does it with every, you know, player on the offensive side, defensive side of the ball. It just says a lot about him. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very emotional game for us, and you know, we're going to go out there and try and play our best football.
This is for both you all. When you look at Tennessee, specifically James Pierce, what stands out about what he gets done?
Yeah, let Logan start.
Yeah, I mean, you look at these guys; they're in the SEC. You know, they got a lot of talent. You know, they're a talented group, and you know, we're going to do our best to go out there and try and play our best football because we have yet to do so, and you know, that's our goal. You know, they're big, strong, talented guys, probably 5-star guys, right? You know, we don't have guys like that, so it's just a great opportunity for our guys up front. You know, our offense to go out there and you know, like I said, just try and play our best football.
I'll piggyback that and just talk about their whole defense, right? I think, you know, everything for them starts with their front. They get those big guys, right? And, you know, I think our league's changed a little bit. We've seen some more defenses like that as time's gone on, right, with some of the bigger guys up front, especially in the interior. But I think what makes these guys interesting is, you know, they got the big guys up front. They got the two backers. They're really pretty good players, and then they're playing with those DBs, and they can be a little bit fluid with what they're showing you. And I think a real testament to them, you know, just structurally, and I mean this as a huge compliment. They change week to week. They can present different looks based on the game, based on the team they're playing. You know, they can choose to play a couple of different ways. They can change the front. They can change the coverage structure. And they're really fluid in those things, and they do a nice job of it. They can really create some challenges with you for the pictures you're seeing up front or in the back end with the coverage. So I think one of the big challenges for us this week is going to be trying to identify very early on, you know, what their game plan is against us, because I think it'll look different than maybe what we've seen on tape week to week. There's obviously going to be elements of it, but this has been a tough preparation because you can't just say, hey, it's not like playing our defense where it's like, hey, this is what they're going to do. We know that. They're going to match it up against what we are, but it's going to look like this on game day. Now we got to beat it. There's an element of, hey, look, these guys have some really good players, but then there's a structural component that's a little bit of a question mark right now, and we probably won't know until about 8, 9, 10 plays into that first quarter exactly what it's going to look like, and then make sure we're dialed in and seeing those pictures clearly and attacking them the way that we want to attack them.
All right, go back to right with John, and then Black or Tom, then we'll go to Scott.
Brian, specifically with this game, how much does this mean? How much would a win mean, considering that this is your last game at a place that you've spent a lot of hours in?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go back to Tom's question. Like, I think that narrative is ridiculous. Like I told you, if I've shared one thing with these players in my time here, I think that this program is not about one person. It never has been, and it never will be. Right, so I just feel fortunate that I've been a part of this place and I've been around the people that I've been around and had a chance to work with those people on a day-to-day, to coach players like Logan and a lot of guys that came before him, to play with guys that came before him. It's not about one game. It's not about winning it for anybody. It's about doing things right, doing them for Iowa football. And that's where my focus is going to stay on Monday.
We'll go back to the right, and then we'll come up to you, Scott.
Brian, just a question for you. You've had the opportunity to coach with your dad for over a decade here at Iowa. What has that meant to you, and what are your kind of memories that you'll share moving forward?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think it's special that I've gotten to coach with my father. I've gotten to know him professionally, right? You know, I think growing up, you know, you see your parents as, I don't know what the right word is. They're your parents. They're not real people. They don't have emotions. They don't have feelings. They don't have bad days. They don't have good days. They don't have hopes and dreams. They just have you, and you know, it's mom and dad. And then as you get older, you meet your parents as people, and obviously I think everyone has that opportunity for the most part. Sometimes what you find is maybe it doesn't live up to what your idea of what your parents was, right? Because you see them as actual human beings, and we're all flawed. But I had a chance to get to know my father professionally, which I don't know that every son does. And that's been pretty special. You know, he's lived up to everything that I imagined to be. So I've enjoyed every minute of working with him. And you know, I don't know specific memories or anything like that. I'll remember my time fondly. It was a lot of fun.
We'll go to Scott down front, and then we'll go right.
I apologize, Logan, I know I'm going to ask you a couple questions here. season, not personally, but professionally, when you bring in a quarterback as talented as Caden McNamara, and he has an ACL, and you have 2 NFL caliber tight ends, and they both go out with season-ending injuries. You guys up front have had to deal with a lot of ups and downs. Even in the backfield, you had several running backs out early in the season, and yet you managed to persevere. You guys have won games. What kind of challenges has that put on you and your players to try to execute when you know you're limited? You know, and there's a reason why some players are first team and some are second team.
Yeah, I think that's part of football, right? I think it was you asked me a question this summer about dealing with adversity. If you don't expect adversity to happen, I just think you're a fool. So we knew there were going to be challenges. You don't know exactly what they're going to be. You don't know how many there will be. Sometimes you don't deal with as many. And if you don't deal with any, then terrific, great. It's smooth sailing. But you know that those things are going to happen. And one thing that I know in my experience is that the games will still get played. They will still get kicked off at that scheduled time. There's certainly too much money and media attention on those things to not get played. So you have to find a way to be competitive and try to win football games. That's the ultimate goal. So, in my estimation, I think it really comes down to the players and how they respond. And we've been fortunate, but it starts with leadership, starts with guys like Logan, who unfortunately did miss some time. But I'm here to tell you, he played a lot too when he wasn't feeling great. And when you have that going on your team, you have selfless guys that are willing to do whatever it takes to help the football team win and put the team first. Then it's just a lot of fun. And dealing with those challenges, I think that's the fun part of coaching, right? Every week you got to figure out, what do we have available, what are we going against, and how do we give our football team the best opportunity to win the game. And then you see if you can go out there and do that on Saturday. And sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. But I think if you do things the right way, you're probably going to win more than you lose. And I feel like we've done that for quite a long time at the University of Iowa.
We'll take a couple more. We got one back, and we'll come back to Peach.
Yeah, Logan, here in the back. What would it mean for this program to win this game? 2022 against Kentucky, you guys come up a little bit short. So to end this year with an 11th win, what would that mean for you and this program in a big bowl game here?
Yeah, like Coach Bryant talked about, we have an opportunity to get our 11th win, which is, I think, the 4th time in program history. So, just to be a part of a team like that, I think it's something special too, especially with all the adversity and the guys that haven't been able to, go out there and compete. You got guys like Luke Lachey, Eric All, Caden McNamara, who worked so hard in the off season, gave their all just to play this season, and they won't have that opportunity now. But, we do have that opportunity for the guys that are healthy to go out there and play and get an 11th win. To get that 11th win for Coach Ferentz too, I think it would be really cool because, it's only happened 4 times. So I think this game, it's a great opportunity for us to go out there and, try and play our best football and get that 11th win.
We'll take one right and one more here, and then we'll close it back.
Hey, Brian, on your right. Thanks for all the time you gave us over the years. I appreciate that. Looked like Marco maybe elevated to number 2 at some point. I think maybe a 4th Northwestern game. What kind of went into that decision? Would there be any chance we might see him outside of an injury performance on Monday, like a package of plays or anything like that?
No, look, we're going to make decisions every week that we think are best for the football team. It felt like Marco had elevated above Joe at that time, so we put we want to invest the reps into the guys that we think can help the football team win. That's why we made that decision. But Deacon's the starting quarterback. Deacon's played really good football for us. Deacon's led this football team to a lot of wins, and we expect Deacon to go the distance on Monday.
All right, we'll go to the one left.
Coach, you talked about, you played center, guard, offensive line. It's a difficult transition to jump over from the defensive front to the offensive front, let alone play center, make the calls. Talk about Logan's development the last 2 years, and then Logan, transitionally, what's been the biggest challenge for you, despite other than staying healthy?
I'll start that. I'll let you finish. Right, when you're evaluating players, you're always evaluating traits. And when you talk about the center position, especially at the University of Iowa, when you just think about the run of guys that we've had, going back, you go back all the way. But if you just want to talk about since like 2012, right? You got my brother, then that transitions over. Austin Blythe becomes that guy, goes on to a really good NFL career. I wouldn't call my brother's NFL career good, but it was long. Is long. You got Austin, right? And then you just keep transitioning. Keegan Render played really good football for us. James Daniels at times played really good football for us at times at the center position. Then you get to Tyler Linderbaum, obviously having a tremendous career. He looked pretty good the other night. And then, you're always looking for that next guy, right? So at one time it was always those guys. And what are the traits you're looking for? You're looking for a guy that, number one, is tough and competitive. It's the type of person that maybe hates losing a little bit more than they enjoy winning. Somebody that is tough to the point of willing to do anything physically to play the game of football. And then athleticism, obviously really important, but intelligence and leadership, those things critical at the center position. So as Tyler's time's winding down, right, we're looking at our roster and just didn't feel like maybe that guy was in the offensive line room at the time, but kept looking at this guy playing defensive line, and boy, it sure seemed like he had all those things in a very similar manner to Linderbaum early in his career. We waited a little bit longer to switch Logan, but it just seemed so obvious. So transition him over really that was bowl prep, right, when we started, or was it spring? Spring bowl was your first,
bowl,
yeah. So we got him going in the off season. And what I can't say enough about Logan is, I don't think people understand how difficult what he did last season was, right? To go from being a first-time offensive lineman, let alone the center in spring ball, to going the distance, starting 13 games for us at the position and really playing pretty well considering. But also watching him play that year and seeing a lot of really bright spots and a lot of really good things, and getting excited knowing that his best football was in front of him. And he's done that. He's continued to grow as a football player, as a leader. It's all those things. The greatest compliment I can give him is I don't know that we have a football player on offense who works harder, who practices harder, who's tougher, who's more committed to the football team. Logan's not always the most vocal player on our football team, but I think his example shines on a daily basis. And when you have somebody like that playing that position, it really elevates the guys around him. And ultimately, that's what you're looking for out of that player. I think the best centers that I've been around, they're guys that the 4 or 5 guys playing around them, sometimes even that tight end position, a lot of times the quarterback also, they play a little bit better when that guy's in the game. And I think that's true about Logan. So he's been a joy to coach. I would just finish with this. I think his best football is still in front of him. And I'm excited to see that. I'll be watching carefully.
Yeah, you asked about the transition. Obviously, Coach Ferentz came and talked to me right away, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I knew Tyler did it, but he gave me a week to think about it, talk to Tyler and everything. I was like, this is absolutely what I want to do. I think it was a great challenge for me, last year. There were some ugly plays, but, that's part of it, and it was an opportunity for me to grow. And I think that's just the hardest thing is, realizing, you aren't going to be perfect, and that's just part of the game, right? It's an imperfect game, so you're never going to go out there and be perfect. That's just unrealistic. But, we always talk about in the O-line room, and Coach Barnett always says this, don't be a flincher. Don't be a guy that shies away from challenges. And, that kind of defines who you are as a man. Are you going to take it head on, or are you going to shy away? And, that was probably just the hardest thing for me initially is just, going towards the challenge and realizing, you're going to get beat. You might give up a sack, you might give up penetration here or there. But, just realizing, that's part of the game. And, everybody does it at some point in their careers. And, just learning from those mistakes and going through those obstacles. And I think the really cool thing is, you got 4 other guys on that offensive line who, I consider my best friends. I got to go out there every single, day and practice with them. They make it fun, right? And they're pushing me and, I'm pushing them. It's kind of like a give thing. And it's just really cool to see the development of the guys in the line room, and they pushed me and they've made me a better player on the offensive line, and we got everybody coming back. So I'm really excited for this room and this team and what's next for us.
Gentlemen, thank you for your time. We appreciate you being here. We'll have Coach Parker and Jan.
All right, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.